to know just how you're feeling. Your mind and your heart, and you can be authentically healing.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the building together is what solidified us and put us in a position of I can trust her on this level, or I can trust him on this level, or you know, he's been part of my achievements, or she's been part of my achievements. You know, when I met Briggitte, she was just happy going to work 9 to 5 and whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I never would have thought she never to be a business owner.
But that could never have been a vision for me. When you make the commit, all right, so let's go back to this commitment, because this is important to answer your question, right? When you talk about making a commitment, when I'm saying I'm never leaving, and you know, you're right, you can emotionally check out or whatever the case may be, but I never emotionally check out to a place to where I'm not concerned about her well-being.
Right.
You understand? So no matter what we was going through, when she came to me and said, "Yo, I don't want to work this job anymore," her dream became my dream. You know what I mean? Because it was very important. She said she didn't want to work the job anymore. She had the last baby, and she's like, "I want to be home with my kids. I want to be home with my baby." Like you were saying, I want to be at the beach. I want to do, you know, I just want to do those things. When she said those things, immediately I was like, "All right, go back to school. Do what you got to do. I'll hold this down while you go to school." You know what I mean? While you go to school, when you come back from school, whatever. You know, matter of fact, tell your job now you're not coming back. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna birth this business right out of you, because that's your dream, and you gotta trust me in this process that I'm gonna carry us while you're going for your dream. I often say this to Briggitte, and I say this to couples everywhere, that marriage is a business relationship.
I was gonna ask that question.
As much.
I can't even ask the question.
You can't even ask the question?
Y'all just ask. Y'all just I'm just sitting here like, yep, there ain't no point in asking that.
So marriage is a business relationship before it's anything else. You know what I mean? It just so happens that we're in the business of love. You know what I mean? And so when I look at it in that direction, I realize that this is my business partner that I'm in relationship with. You know what I mean? And our investment is in our children, in each other, in our lives, and the things that's going on around us. When I look at that relationship like that, that's where that I'm not going nowhere doesn't make sense, because I can't rebuild this. I can't rebuild 24 years when I don't got 24 years in me with somebody else. You understand? So I can't rebuild this. So what I have here, I have to come back. We have to have a board meeting. We have to sit down, figure out what some things is off at, and come back and say, okay, yo, we failing here.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We failing here. We got to figure out how to make this go. Our stocks is down in this area. That's a fill up tank. You know what I mean? How do we bring the stocks back up here? You know what I mean? Let's move the pieces over here to get them in this place to where we can push further, and so forth and so on. So the things that we've built together are play a real big part in us learning how to trust each other. Right. You know what I mean? Getting the houses together, doing the businesses together. I'm not saying that's the remedy for everybody else,
right.
But you have to find something in your marriage that is bigger than the both of you, that make you two connected.
Right.
Purpose.
It has to be purpose. Your marriage has to be purposeful.
Right. So how was that trust, like building your first like business like together?
As far as like
trusting each other,
like the real business.
So he had the first business that we had was the sober house.
Yes.
He had this vision about the men's house. Jay was our first resident. Because the church used to have an apartment upstairs from the actual building, and we had him, Timothy.
But technically, the church was the first business.
Oh yeah. The church was the actual first business.
And
but
I think, to be honest with you, I think that formed us even way more than any other, because that year 5.
Wait, did you guys have like different visions?
No, it was always interrelated.
It was interrelated, but we saw different ways of how to get there.
I'm very strategic.
So how did you guys put it together?
So that's what I'm saying. I was very strategic with planning and organizing, and he was just the visionary. So he would give the vision, like this. He wanted this men's house. We had that apartment upstairs, so the church was already paying the rent upstairs, so we had the guys living there. And he was like, you know what, I want to have like a sober house. And I'm a geek, so I like reading and stuff, and I started like figuring out grants, because the part of the church business was that I got us our 501c3 paperwork, so we were able to get donations and grants, and I figured out how to make grants come in through the church that were faith-based, so that it can fund the vision. So I found the grant that Demas had, Department of Mental Health and Addiction, where they were funding money for access to recovery, which is people coming out of jail and people coming out of sober housing and needing like that step up. So our house had six or 10. It was 10 guys that we, and that was a 3-year grant. That was like our business. So together we realized like, wow, we, like we did this. And then when it got into the community work with me, him running for office, as an alderman, it was like a no-brainer. Like, yo, this is like, I was setting the stage and like fixing everything for him to just like walk in, because I had insight and a gifting to like organize. I knew who to call and what to do. And
but back to the business model, right? Is you have to understand each other's strengths,
right,
and each other's weaknesses.
Right.
Any great business,
right,
they look at the people who are in the business, and you don't just get rid of people if they're not working out.
Right. You just shift them somewhere.
You shift them to where their giftings are, where it works at. You understand? So there were certain areas that we would clash at. Like that 5-year breakup was over the church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And some things that was taking place in there. And I was like, I'm not going through this with her, and she's not going through this with me. But you have to realize Adam's biggest mistake with Eve, his biggest mistake with Eve is that he never named her right. When he named her, he said, this is woman.
Right.
Because she comes out of me. It's a real chauvinistic approach to the Bible. You know what I mean?
Right.
When he realized after she had the baby, he said, Dag, I named you wrong. Your name is now Eve, because you're the mother of civilization. He recognized who she was, the giftings and the beauty and all those things that were in her. And you never hear about her having no crazy incident. You don't hear nothing about anything that she did that was crazy.
Yeah, because I think when we started the church, my husband's like really dramatic, theatrical, boisterous, and I'm not any of that. I mean, I'm loud, but not like, he be just preaching. He be preaching off like the top of his head. I'm over here with my papers organized, and I was just never in the front person. I was always very behind the scene. And that was never like valued. And I'm like, okay, well, I know how to do that, or I know how to do that. But again, because he was like, on the go, and never like gave me a lane to like work together in, it caused a lot of conflict and clashing. And it wasn't until he started like tapping into my gifts and the things that I brought that he realized, like, dang, okay, you alright, right? So it all, we have to balance each other out.
So all right, I do believe in that partnership role off rip, because that's kind of like, when I met Rose, that's kind of like how I started off with her. I looked at it as a partnership.
Right.
Was that so in y'all relationship when y'all started, did y'all see each other like as like partners? Like how long did it take for y'all to see each other? Like
no, I don't.
Because you got the relationship part, and then you got the partnership part, and I think sometimes that like
it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So like,
that still kind of comes up sometimes.
A lot.
It comes like when was it that we had the revival? And
What
that was August?
the teaching one or the one?
No, the one before where you got reinstated.
October.
In October, right? I was battling because I was feeling a little out of alignment and feeling like, okay, I don't want to just do this because this is just what I'm expected to do. But I had said to him the day that of the ordination, I said, I think I'm going to step back from being like a pastor and I just rather be a wife because, I mean, I can't leave you or nothing. But I feel like this role creates a conflict of interest because you're like in my lane and I'm trying to do my job, but you trying to be the bishop, the pastor, the transportation guy. Like, you doing everything else, and this is not going to work in order because, again, I know the vision that he has, and I'm very visual, and then I translate that. And I'm like, this plan is all you. You disempowering your leaders because everybody's going to you and not going to the assigned leader that you have over the auxiliary. So we gotta like redefine again, back to the drawing board, to the board meeting and the business meeting. We gotta figure out like, where do you want me? And I'll be there. I'm fine with that. I don't have to be preaching. I don't have to. I like behind the scenes anyway. And he realized like, Dag, I have strengths. And in a lot of areas, he got a lot of strengths. And we had to learn how to find like that balance and that pocket so that we're not drowning each other out. And like his space is his space and my space is my space. You know what I mean? But that comes through communication and it also comes through trust. And I think the trust is like the key piece to it. And in the beginning of Right Now Ministries, I didn't trust him as a pastor.
Right.
I'm like, nigga, I know him as a man. And I could not, like, my personal relationship with God was like my personal relationship. And I just did not feel safe submitting under him as a pastor. Because I felt like it was, what is he putting?
He got his paper up.
What's the paper?
You talking too much.
No, it's probably...
No, I know what he said.
But it was like the drama that started in Right Now Ministries was me being resentful, bitter, and rebellious. Like, I just could not. I started a whole little gathering of division, and I was leading the camp. I said, listen, this man over here, y'all don't want that. That was me.
So the partnership, was that the partnership or the relationship of it?
I think that was a relationship.
The relationship.
I think
it bled into creating a division in the partnership.
I think when I married Briggitte, I knew the potential of the relationship.
Right.
You understand?
You did.
Yeah.
The potential of the relationship with me?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I knew the potential of the relationship. You know what I mean? Because I saw what she was doing. You know what I mean? And I knew that she would make me better. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I knew I would make her better too, because I had what she was missing. But I also knew she had what I was missing. You know what I mean? Now,
you know what? Can I just interrupt?
No, don't try to say you saw it too now.
No, I didn't. I always because this came up to me. This came up for me, and I just want to put it out there. But thinking back to that time, I felt like I was a convenience. Like you chose me because I was convenient.
No, Pam was convenient.
Please, no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, the potential, but seeing me like, oh, dag, let me choose this one because if I go with this one, she's gonna be a good mom. you know, I'm already in. That's how I felt like you didn't really choose me because you wanted to choose me. You chose me because I was a convenience.
Why do women think like that though?
There goes the
Had the
deposit.
same
Huh?
conversation.
Goes the deposit.
What's the deposit?
So listen.
Wait, I didn't get that. What do you meant?
It's just,
Oh, that's.
just cool.
Oh.
All those played the part into why I felt like you were valuable. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like convenience was, first of all, what was I being convenient for? I never felt like I needed you.
I wanted you
for anything. Like,
You ain't say that yet.
you know what I mean? I'm saying is I never relied on you to get anything. So why would you be a convenience for me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My goal was always to make provision for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I cherished you as that jewel. So my thing was to make sure you was good. But I knew in the process of that you were everything you would implement into our children. Everything you would implement into me. And I didn't know what all that was going to become. But yeah, it definitely all those things played a part into the decision. You know what I mean? But you know, it wasn't like it was the only choice that was sitting on the table.
Why? Who you got a choice? You can't compare me to Pam because Pam was in the projects.
Was that the mac and cheese?
No, Baked Ziti.
Baked Ziti.
So
I have another question.
One final question.
Well, no, you don't get the final question. You've been asking.
Well, they're gonna get off, but yeah.
We're departed.
My last question was, how do you guys navigate?
Looking for a quick answer though.
I'm so
How do
sick
you guys
of it.
navigate or manage conflicts in your marriage? So, like, my husband and I have different fighting styles, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way we manage conflict is different. And so I think the way we manage conflict
I
sometimes.
love how you manage it.
No, that's not about me. It's they're the
Want
ones.
an example?
No, wait, I want an example. I was just gonna ask.
I am admittedly more of the hothead in our marriage, and because I was raised in a home with domestic violence and a lot of anger, when I get really upset, my anger is triggered, and so I can be very abrupt, very rude, very mean, and yeah, very loud.
Yeah.
And so my anger is triggered quickly in moments, and my husband is not quite like that.
I can go to sleep and we'll figure it out tomorrow.
And I'm also the type of person that I like resolution. So I want to talk now and I want to figure it out. I don't like the discomfort. I don't like the weird, awkward silences. The let's talk about it tomorrow. No, we're gonna talk about it tonight. We're not going to sleep until we figure out what we doing. He's not like that. He'll go to bed. Y'all know my husband. He will go to sleep in a heartbeat and be fine. And so I just think how we manage conflict sometimes creates more conflict. So my question is just around, like, how do you guys manage your conflict? And if you guys have different styles of managing that and how you have figured that out.
We
have. Wait. Anybody else go through that at this table?
Absolutely.
Okay, so where are you at on that spectrum?
I'm like her, a little hot-headed, a little rude and loud and da-da-da. But I feel like I've calmed down a lot because I know the type of guy he is already and how he deals with conflict. So I gotta kind of chill out a little bit. I think, just knowing how he is and being in that situation that we have these arguments and stuff like that, it's like, I'm not going to take it up here because he's not going to even go there. So I'm wasting energy and getting myself mad.
All right. How about
on your side, who plays what role?
I am I'll go to sleep. I'll be quiet. I've learned that talking back and answering and arguing back, it never led to anything, like in the beginning. And then I tried the quiet mechanism and that didn't lead to anything because you're ignoring me. So I just came to a point where I'll try to regroup. Like, hey, look, I've thrown in before the whole, we're married now, I'm not going to leave, I'm not moving out this house, you're not kicking me out the house, you're not moving out the house, so you're gonna be fine tomorrow. You're gonna say sorry, and then it's like But yeah, I am fine with going to sleep, and I am the total opposite of Brittany and Leia because I'm more of I'll go to sleep and tomorrow's a whole brand new day, and rather than not liking the awkward silence, I find peace. I don't know if it's a healthy thing, but I find peace in the awkward silence.
It's
No
healthy.
one's
It's
no
healthy.
one's
You can go sit in it.
yeah,
you
no
know.
one's no one's
That's another
arguing.
thing.
Everybody's
Tomorrow for me
fine.
is never a brand new day. Tomorrow, if I wake up tomorrow and I'm still mad, it's still
So-
it's
so
still-
from-
wait. So Jay, I want to hear from the guys real
Oh,
fast.
okay,
Go
okay.
ahead.
I don't know, man. I could be up, I could be down. I think I'm a little bit of both, honestly. It's like you don't like conflict. I'm all for the smoke, but then it's like I could pick my battles. It's like if I want to argue about it, I argue about it. If I don't want to argue about it, it's my turn to just isolate and just go in my corner. It's like, but yeah, I'm in between. I could be both. But I think I'm more aggressive, though.
More aggressive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in the beginning, I was like, we rip off each other's head. So, I had to, I found that wasn't healthy. And, depending on, like, kind of what Jay said was picking the battles and stuff like that. So, it all depended on what it was. If I seen, like, us ripping each other's head off, I'll just, like, you know what, I'll be over here, go for a walk, go in the room, and, sleep it off. But I still want to resolve the problem, the issue, so I revisit, you know what I'm saying? And, if I feel like she's ready or whatever, or just test the waters out how our energy is flowing.
Yeah.
Is it good to feel like that only when you feel like you're right, though?
So,
like, I won't revisit a situation if I feel like I'm right.
no.
I can go to bed.
So
like,
that's
I'm
not
good.
right.
Like-
but leave it up to Bishop and you, I guess. Y'all always gonna be right.
But no,
But it's not resolved
right
within the relationship.
Okay,
so I'm like
where,
Brittany.
Where are we?
I'm Brittany, you Badgett, and you know it.
Can I just say too? I also relate to her because I
relates to
grew
Brittany.
up
Because
I grew up in a household with domestic
Right.
violence, so I'm activated like that.
Yeah.
You raise your voice, or I feel like you're coming at me.
Yeah.
Oh no! Like
So
I just
so then part of what I'm learning in this part of the journey is that a lot of that is a me thing, right? So
Say that thing, boo.
I'm owning it. I'm owning it.
It's your stuff.
It's my
You
stuff.
hear that, Brittany? It's your stuff.
So really, so really, what I'm learning is my husband is always like he'll check out and say I'm not talking about this, and for a long time because of my rejection issues, and feeling like he was gonna leave if we didn't talk about it, he would leave, right, and step out and then come back, and I said, like, as long as you tell me you're coming back, like, tell me you're coming back, and let's talk about whatever it is that's happening. He'll say, I'm not gonna talk about it now because I'm really upset and I don't want to, like, I need to calm myself down and blow this steam out before I come back to that. In that pausing moment, Brittany, I was in my head, totally trauma, panic attack. I mean, I was not in a good place because I was so afraid that this was it. Like, he's leaving. Like, that's always my go-to. And he would say, why are you always thinking like I'm leaving? And again, that was a me thing because I just felt like my perspective and my belief was that I wasn't good enough, that I was not like I wasn't worth it. That was always the thoughts that was coming up for me.
So, but before you say that, let me make it clear, because that he's not confrontation. First of all, I'm not no sucker. You know what I mean? I ain't no
Thank
punk.
you for clarifying.
I ain't no. I ain't
know.
avoidant. I ain't passive aggressive. I ain't none of those things. I'm smart. You understand? And so you have to understand. Like, I feel like sometimes my pastor used to say this to me. He said, Rha-Sheen, the day you learn how to refrain, you'll be great. And I find that sometimes me refraining is going to save you. And it's going to save us. It's going to save our... Because if I go in like you go in, it's going to be a problem.
And it used to be that way when we first were together.
Yeah, I
Our
picked
first
her
year of
stuff
marriage.
and threw her out the house and took her stuff and tossed
my
it all
stuff
out
in
outside
the
with her.
garbage bags. And all because he was trying to get me to like go there with him. Again, that was the pattern that we had. He took all my stuff, like literally, out of spite.
Packed it up.
And put it outside.
Somebody
was
got
so
to go. If I
embarrassing. I was like, you know what? I took my stuff. This was 9 months into us being married. I took my stuff right in the cab, went right to my father's house, and I mean, it was miserable. I was there for a month. And then I was just going to go to Georgia, and then we picked a state and ended up in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And we said if we didn't leave New York, we were going to ruin our marriage. But it wasn't the city. It was us.
I feel like...
Back to the question. How do you handle the conflict?
We need to circle back.
No, you and your husband. How do you handle the conflict?
The conflict in the moment is probably not the best time. Because like he said, he could be reckless if he allows himself to go there. And if I say the right thing, it's going to trigger. Mm-hmm. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to take a step back. And if that's me ignoring, and then, but he understands if he steps out, Briggitte, I'm not talking about this right now. I need space.
And she has to respect that space.
And now I've learned to respect it because he says it.
Because if you keep pushing me, it's not going to end well.
Right.
I gotta be able to, we go through our processes different. Let me process. Mm-hmm. You understand? Because when I'm impulsive, I don't react the right way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I gotta step. Maybe you can handle that in your moment, but when I'm impulsive, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I throw furniture out the window. You know what I'm saying? Right off the balcony.
Right.
You are my brother, okay?
100%.
I'm just laughing because I
said to my
literally do
wife,
our whole plan.
Very much the same where she wants to get it out. And I'll be in the bed and she comes in the room and she's still da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, you are pushing all of my buttons.
That's because I wasn't done yet.
Right.
But that's why...
Now she has to externally process. And I'm like, listen, you don't want the fire that you think that you want, right? And so for me, I'm always like, listen, I don't mind circling back. Like, I'm okay. Because I don't believe in, passive aggression either. Like, I am confrontational when necessary, but I will avoid it when I can.
But he's also the let things bubble up over time. He won't say anything for a long time, and then all of a sudden he starts being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So there's a problem, but he's not saying what
that's
the problem
what you
is.
think, Briggitte.
No, I was gonna say that where there's certain things that I'm thinking in my mind. All right, I'm not gonna respond.
Can I
let it go. But then when it starts to build up, and then when I feel disrespected, now we have a different type of reaction. And so that's my pathology that I know that I gotta break.
When you could have just talked about it in little baby steps.
Right.
Yeah, I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
He's getting better because even today we were having a conversation about finances, which for me,
is this gonna be a long story, right?
It's not. Stop it. And he said what he said, and I was able to just bite my tongue and just listen in, and just listen.
But she started turning up. I could see her start fidgeting and all that.
I didn't turn up.
So I checked the fidget.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at you. You see how you getting uncomfortable right now? But you tell me you want me to talk.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you want me to talk, and then when I talk, you get ready to go into your zone.
But that's just the defense.
All right, so
yeah,
leave the
and
defense down.
You helped
So
to bring it down.
I said bring it down because I'm not your enemy.
But I didn't get loud.
Babe, let me talk.
But I didn't get loud. You just saw a fidget.
I didn't say you did.
Yeah, you just saw me fidget.
It's okay. You see her? That's what I'm talking about. Bring it down. so it's in those moments that you got to come and you got to be like, yo, look, hold on, breathe for a second. Because I got this. I'm telling you this because it's beneficial for us.
Right.
And I said straight up, I started not to say nothing at all.
But I'm glad you said that.
But I'm not, because we're gonna get past this, and I'm not gonna really deal with your emotions.
Do you guys have any like boundaries in your conflict? Like, do you have rules
yes.
around like
we fight fair?
We fight fair.
We fight fair. So no going below the belt, even when I could go there, or even when he could go there. We don't do that. And the boundary is what else, Rha-Sheen? We don't call each other out our name.
Don't call each other out our names. And the arguments is always meant to come back to a solution.
Right.
You understand? Like it's okay to have your arguments, right? It's okay to have your fights and your battles, but the battles and the fights that you have has to bring you back to the solution to fix the marriage.
Right.
Because leaving isn't an option.
Right.
Walking away isn't that's not an option. You understand? So when we get that out the way and we know that's not an option, then we know the only option is to fix whatever's on the table.
Yeah. And we don't hit each other. But, in the beginning, it was not very nice. Mushing is hitting, okay? Remember mushing?
I did not hit her.
And biting.
I told her.
And I bit. So I mean,
I told her get out my face.
I bet.
I told her get out my face.
Okay.
She wouldn't go, so I just said, "Listen, go."
And he mushed me. That's abuse. So we said, really, listen. After that 9 month, after that first year, when we said we're gonna do this and move to Connecticut in 2001, we said we are never going to put our hands on each other. We were never going to call each other out of our names. And we were going to fight fair.
Okay, can I ask a question on that? All right, I've called her out of her name. I've called her.
Shame on you.
Shame.
No, it's no judgment.
No, it is what it is. Now, okay,
though.
like
accountability, right?
Oh, so my thing is, corny is not calling you out of your name, is it?
Is that you being dismissive and disrespectful? If she's saying something and you say, "Oh, you corny,"
that's corny. You're corny. You're being corny right now. That's not calling you out of your name.
No, you're name calling though.
That is not name calling.
You asked the question, she answering it.
But I'm just asking, like, okay, in your so
because you're not cussing her out. It's like me not cussing anymore, but still saying like, "Damn." No, it's still a curse.
That doesn't work.
What if she said, what if she said, "Oh, I'm corny. Well, you acting like a little B."
So who?
She said,
she called me a little B?
Yeah.
If she calls you that, right.
I mean, if I'm acting like a little B, I'm acting like a little B.
No, but see, that's the stuff. You got to establish ground rules to fighting.
This is, all right, so I would consider that. Like, for me, like, if you call me, like, if somebody, you're acting like an a-hole. Maybe I am acting like an a-hole. I'm not going to get mad and say you're calling me out of my name. That's what I'm acting like. I'm acting like an a-hole. I can't get mad
Is that going?
I'm not, no, honestly.
Jay. Okay, so let me ask you, is that statement going to draw you closer to your partner?
I'd rather you be 100% real with me than...
Yeah, but being 100% like, real in how you displayed 100%.
That's just not how she talks. That's just not how she talks, which I understand, right? But if she was to say something like that, I'm not going to. I came out of a 13-year relationship where we fought like that, and that was like
normal.
Nah, honestly, it was.
It was normal.
Like if she said to me, Jamal, you're acting like a complete a-hole right now. I'm like, you know what? babe, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, but it was normal, but it wasn't healthy.
Okay, but for us, I'm saying.
Right. So again, let's go back to the statement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For Christ loved the church to the point that he died for it. So if she says to you, well, I don't like when you come at me like that, right? Then if that's the relationship that you're building, then you have to honor that coming.
I think.
Hold on, wait. You have to honor how you come at her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has to honor how she comes at you by saying what it is that you don't like.
Okay.
That honoring both ways is what begins to build a healthy relationship. So when we have conversations and she says, yo, I don't like when you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't like when you just leave without saying, I'm taking space.
So now I had to say, okay, she don't like that. All right, let me respect her on that level and say to her, like, yo, I just don't want to talk right now.
Right now, yeah.
This ain't no good time for me.
Right.
I don't know when I'm going to be ready to talk, but when I'm ready to talk, I'll let you know.
Ideally, I respect that to the core. But now,
I think another...
when you're at, like, okay, so let's just say I worked on the cornball thing. I don't know when that's going to happen, but let's just say I worked on the cornball word,
mm-hmm.
right? It's like you progress. It went from, what is word you want to use? Vulgar words
mm-hmm.
to not substituting words. It was just like, that's what we would say if you were like
mm-hmm.
out of place, right? Not like, but that's how you take it. Then in a sense of, okay, but if I say to to her, let's say, but the way you speak, the way you say certain things, you don't have to, I've learned you don't have to literally use foul language.
Right.
It's
not what you say, it's how you
say it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want me to respect that boundary, but you don't respect that boundary. So so as a man, I always feel like I've come to, like, and I always say this, like, is it like, okay, this is just emotional abuse, or this is just something now I have to take. I have to stop what you don't like to accommodate your feelings, but mine's are just like, so like.
No, that's why you both establish what is okay for you, or what's not okay for you, and what's not okay for her, and that's like the even exchange.
Right.
So that's how you are creating healthier boundaries amongst you. So for you, it might not be a big deal with the cornball, but for her, it is. So just don't say that to her, and then if there's something about her that you don't want her to do, like, don't watch your tone, then she got to check that. And it's an even exchange. That's a new boundary.
I used to say to Bridget all the time, like, she would come and I said that, and I sit there and I look at her and I'd be like,
why are you so loud?
I was like, yo, who you talking to?
Right. But I wasn't being...
And she'd be like, what are you talking about?
I'm just talking.
This is how I talk. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, but that's not how you talk to me. Mm-hmm. You understand? Yeah. And so when you're ready to talk to me in the way I want to receive to be talked to, then we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the way you're going to talk to me, I'm not having this conversation.
And then I'll drop down and be like, so what I'm trying to say is,
right.
It takes, like, self-regulating.
I'm teaching you
Yeah.
how I want to be spoken to.
Right.
In the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Like, hold on, wait. You yelling at me.
Mm-hmm.
This how I used to say it. I used to play, am I yelling at you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. Am I yelling at you?
That was like my volume tuner.
Right. And she'd be like, no, but this, I'm Dominican. This, I said, no, you can't use that. You can't use that as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use your childhood as an excuse. I wasn't there. You can't use the Dominican Republic as an excuse. I wasn't there either. You understand? We're here right now. We're setting new goals for us. So in this moment, if you want to talk to me, please don't yell at me.
Oh, cuss. That was big.
Right.
When we first started with the kids.
Don't cuss at me. Don't cuss in front of my children.
Yeah.
You we don't fight in front of our children.
Right.
Like, we begin to set rules that we realized wasn't we grew up and it was made norm.
Yeah.
But it wasn't normal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't going to be our new norm.
Right.
Let's set new boundaries and new ways of doing things, because if not, this is going to be very toxic.
Yeah.
So we got to begin to put those rules. The question is is, do you love each other enough to respect what they're saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm saying this to you and you're not taking it and comprehending it in, then that means that you don't love me enough to make the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? If you're telling me you love me, love is an action word.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you love me and you're telling me you don't like this, all right, let me back this thing up a moment and figure out how to come at it better.
Right.
Because I want to make you happy as much as I want you to make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all feel what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
So y'all gotta begin to put those boundaries in place and respect the boundaries that are being put before you.
Right.
So it ain't no big deal for you, but it's a big deal for her.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like for me and her, that's my. I'm like, yo, that's your stuff. That's not my stuff. She hates that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's a bit dismissive. Because sometimes your stuff is like clashing with my stuff, and I'm like, just don't provoke the bear. You know, sometimes I'd be feeling like, but again, that's an excuse, right? Because regardless of what, I should be able to self-regulate enough where his stuff is not even triggering me. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm learning through just like, and what I'm finding, Brittany, this is gonna help you out, is you need an outlet where you can also be filling your tank outside of the relationship. So like I have a core group of ladies that it's a safe space. And what I found is that whenever I was like filled with a lot of resentment and just a lot of my stuff and a lot of like my thoughts and all that, I need somewhere to like unpack that in a space that's safe and in a space that is gonna give back to me the accountability that I need in that moment. Journaling for me is big. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was really struggling with something and I didn't want to blow off on my husband. I don't even think he realized the little spark that I had in me, and I just started journaling and really just like releasing that in my journal, and then having those pockets of relationship to just unpack that, so that when I'm connected to my husband, it's not all that extra stuff. It's toned. You know what I mean? And I can communicate in a way where it's not as like triggering. You know what I mean? That's important, because when I'm frustrated, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm burnt out, that shows up all day in how I approach him and talk to him.
How do you know you're triggering your partner?
How do you know?
Like, all right. Well, I guess that was kind of dumb.
What do you mean?
Well, it wasn't dumb, but it was just like some things you might say something, and like you ever like somebody like you ever said something to him or he said something to you, and you just shut down.
Yeah.
You just don't know why.
Yeah.
And you just in your corner like, what the heck did I?
No, but
yeah.
I think the other piece to it is that y'all young in your marriage.
Right. You gotta learn.
Y'all not just young in your marriage. Y'all young in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like, we're telling you, we're sharing with you. Like 24 years, we still getting it right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 24 years, and we're still in certain situations, certain battles, certain struggles, certain things that's coming up. A lot of this stuff is caring enough to want to know the person that you're in your relationship with. Right. Because like I think like Brittany said earlier, it wasn't really into the place that they really got to that place and living with each other and all that she began to see herself.
Right.
Like, yo, I didn't even know these things exist. Yeah. Because when you living with your parents, or you live with this one, you live with that one, and those things is going on, you grew up in that, so it just became this root that was grown in you. Now you get derooted and you get rooted in another pot. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
You still got them same roots.
You got them same roots, but now the roots is trying to find comfortable spots to be able to land and be locked in that, and you begin to realize, hold on, this pot is a bigger space than what was normal for me, and now I gotta find new places to allow my roots to settle, to get hung up across the inside of this pot, so that I can be comfortable and start to grow, and then maybe have to move to another level in another space.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. You can continue to tune in on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and all other streaming platforms. Please like and share, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. Please email me at authenticallyhealingpodcast@gmail.com and tell me how this podcast is connecting with you and what topics you'd like me to touch on. Send me what areas you're struggling in, any testimonies, and share your story. Until next time, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. And the God of peace himself will sanctify you wholly, spirit, soul, and body. Continue to own your whole story in your own words. Until next time.
When I just how you're feeling, your mind and your heart, and you can be authentically healing.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. You can continue to tune in on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and all other streaming platforms. Please like and share, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Authentically Healing Podcast with Briggitte P. Brown, LCSW. Please email me at authenticallyhealingpodcast@gmail.com and tell me how this podcast is connecting with you and what topics you'd like me to touch on. Send me what areas you're struggling in, any testimonies, and share your story. Until next time, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. And the God of peace himself will sanctify you wholly, spirit, soul, and body. Continue to own your whole story in your own words. Until next time.
When I just how you're feeling.